pain, anxiety, addictions,
cocaine,
alcohol,
pot, vaping.
Molly.
I'm overwhelmed.
Who am I?
You feel lost, like you're just aimlessly wandering.
Most of us have fond memories of our teens and early 20s, a time of hopes, dreams, and discoveries as we lay the groundwork for our adult lives. But for too many young people today, these years can be fraught with danger and uncertainty. The statistics bear this out. 1 in 4 Canadian youths are affected by mental health or substance use challenges, with 80% of substance use issues in this country beginning by age 20, and 75% of all mental health disorders developing by age 24. And yet, less than 25% of youth are currently receiving the mental health services they need. Help is available, but too often it's delivered in a fragmented and disconnected manner across multiple facilities scattered around communities. But one organization in British Columbia has been working hard to reverse this alarming trend by combining vital services for young people all in one location, and more importantly, by also building trust and strong relationships during a precarious time in a young person's life. And this organization's latest center will be right across the street from a place they hope to keep their young visitors away from, the Peace Arch Hospital Emergency Department. This is The Power to Heal. In this series of podcasts, we'll focus on the many innovative ways Peace Arch Hospital, located in White Rock, British Columbia, Canada, has been an integral part of its community. We'll take you behind the scenes of the hospital's dynamic fundraising arm and talk to those who are instrumental in creating new initiatives to help this important healthcare facility grow and evolve along with the town it serves. Foundry BC is part of the IYS movement in Canada, or Integrated Youth Services. The organization's aim is to remove barriers and expand access to integrated health, wellness, and social services for young people aged 12 to 24. And it does so in an openly collaborative way by working with partners and connecting services to grow and sustain its network of centers right across the province. One such collaboration with the Peace Arch Hospital Foundation will see a new center established in South Surrey, White Rock, right up the street, in fact, from Peace Arch Hospital. How this came about is a fascinating and instructive story of perseverance and passionate commitment to community wellness. It also forms the first installment in our 2-part look at Foundry and the impact its centers are having on young people in British Columbia. Julie Zimmerman is Provincial Director of Primary Care and Virtual Services for Foundry. George Passmore is an Executive Director with Sources BC, a nonprofit community-based provider of social wellness programs and services, and the lead organization for bringing the new Foundry Centre to South Surrey, White Rock. They are joined by Amy O'Leary, Director of Philanthropy with the Peace Arch Hospital Foundation. Julie, George, and Amy spoke with Power to Heal host Lance Peverly, a journalist and former editor of the Peace Arch News, and a longtime resident of the South Surrey White Rock area.
Julie Zimmerman, the Foundry states its mission as supporting young people in living a good life. Before we get into the specifics of your organization's work, what does this statement mean to you?
Oh, I love this question. So the first thing to know about this mission statement is that it was actually developed by young people. So we wanted to hear from them. What do they want us to be able to say about why we're doing the things that we're doing? And what they came up with for us is that they wanted it to be about the fact that we are supporting them to live a good life. When I think about it, it reminds me that there's lots of different ways to have a good life, that it looks really different for a lot of different people, and that having a good life is more than just a lack of hard times or challenges, but that it's also about the presence of really good things. So things like connection, belonging, safety. I think as well, it recognizes what we call in the health world, the social determinants of health, the things that matter in different ways to different people that help them to be well and live well, that are outside of how our bodies might feel on any given day. And I think for me, as a director at Foundry, it guides me and it reminds me that young people are at the center of what we do, that each person that comes through a Foundry door is unique, that they're impacted by different challenges and they're guided by different values.
Do you have a committee of young people that are advisors, or how does that work? How did you hear from them?
So we have a few different ways that we do that. So provincially, we have a provincial youth advisory committee. So they are folks from all across the province that inform how we do things at a provincial level. And we ask that every local Foundry Centre also has a youth advisory committee that speaks to what young people in that particular community want to see a Foundry have and look like.
So you'll be hearing from our local voices in the not too distant future.
Yes. In fact, I'm pretty sure George already has.
Now, I'm told Foundry offers integrated health and wellness services for young people ages 12 to 24. The word integrated is key here, isn't it?
Well, it is. I think integrated is a great word because as people, we're integrated. Oftentimes when we want to go and talk about something that we're struggling with, it's not just one part of us, but that it's all the different parts of us that might be impacted from something that's going on. And so the kind of care and support and help we might want might involve a lot of different things. It's not just one thing.
How is this integrated support different from other support a young person might receive elsewhere?
I think that's a good question because I think that there are a lot of places in health and social services where we are trying to be a bit more integrated. I think at Foundry, there's a few key pieces. One is we try to be all in one space so that when a young person comes into a Foundry Centre, that they don't have to go to a whole bunch of other spaces after that, that the people that might be supporting them...
You're not pointing them in another direction then.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the things I'm wondering is why, who chose the ages 12 to 24 as the youth that you are helping?
So there's a few reasons. One is that the data shows us that the majority of people that are going to develop a mental health struggle or a substance use struggle, that these things often happen before the ages of 25. And that the systems that we've developed across the country kind of divide people at 18. So you get kind of child and youth service until you're 18. And then after that, the hope is that you would find what you need in an adult space. And what we've learned over time is that people between the ages of 18 and 25 in particular often feel like they fall through both those cracks. So they're not really getting the help that they need in an adult system, but they've been left behind by a youth system.
Does this mean, though, you have a different focus for the younger groups in that crowd? Like I'm just thinking of a 13-year-old and a 23-year-old coming in. They're probably not asking the same questions or at the same stage in their life.
No. So oftentimes what we do, a lot of the stuff that we do is very specifically focused for the individual. But when we are doing more group type work, it's often divided by age. So often you'll see like a 12 to 15 or 16 group, and then maybe a 17 to 18 to 25 or something like that when there's groups.
I'd like to talk to George Passmore from Sources BC, why his organization led the charge in bringing a Foundry location to South Surrey White Rock. But first, George, tell us a bit about Sources.
Sources Community Resources has been around for almost 45 years. Some people in this area might remember us as Peace Arch Community Services way back in the day. And then we took over the Hells Angels Clubhouse down here off of East Beach. And we have quite a presence in the South Surrey White Rock area. And we try to provide, as wide a range of services for as many populations as we can. So we are well known for hosting the food bank here in South Surrey. We also have our Sources Women's Center. We have substance use services, counseling services, child and family, youth services. We have a group home, a therapeutic group home for youth, and an overdose prevention site and community outreach. So we are all across the province, mostly located in the South Fraser area. Do have some programs on the island and up north. Our history starts in South Surrey White Rock, and this is where we're so excited to bring our newest resource, Foundry.
Explain how Sources works with other groups like Foundry.
Well, this is an amazing opportunity for Sources because we know that on our own, we can only do so much. Foundry is just such a different model. One of the big frustrations we've always had when we're supporting young people in our counseling services, which we fundraise for to make it free and available, or even our substance use program, is that usually when young people are coming to us, they've got a lot of complexity that they're dealing with. And we can't pretend to be experts in all things. We can't prescribe. We can't even diagnose. There are limits to what we can do. And we have other amazing community partners like Alex House and the Division of Family Practice. And so Foundry is this revolution in how services are organized so that really we can bring together the various partners to ensure that this is experienced as accessible and seamless for young people and their families.
Now, to some people, South Surrey White Rock might seem a comfortable, affluent community without the problems that afflict so many young people in other regions around the province. But George, you and your team obviously saw a need that wasn't being met. What was that need?
Yes, well, let's remember that Surrey has the most children and youth in the province. Not even close. And of that, over 20,000 children and youth in Surrey are experiencing poverty. 15 to 20% of South Surrey lives in hidden poverty. So there is affluence here, for sure. We're very grateful to the folks that came out to our gala and helped donate a lot of money to help us bring this center to reality. But there are many in our community that are struggling. We also know that the Surrey School District has over 50% of the referrals to education support services for mental health or behavioral challenges are in the South Surrey and Cloverdale areas. You wouldn't think that. Also, there was a scan done over the course of a year that showed that hospital visits related to mental health and substance use increased by 36% at Peace Arch Hospital's Emerge department. We know of young people that have died by suicide. We know many youth have hit those barriers in many of our organized services like Child and Youth Mental Health, great resource. It's got a long wait list. And you have to meet their criteria. You have to be sick enough for that resource. So there's too many situations where kids have to really find that right resource to fit their exact need. Foundry represents this opportunity to just have that one right door.
One door they can walk through and they get everything. They get access to everything.
One right door. We will meet them where they're at and figure it out with them. And it's also a place where the families can be engaged equally. That's not always the case in traditional services.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it's very important that young people do experience the opportunity for confidentiality. That's what generates trust. And then if a young person is, for example, cutting or engaged in some substance use that might alarm their parent, and maybe that parent's a bit reactive, it's great for that young person to have that confidential, safe space. However, if we just leave it there, we may not be engaging the family system, those natural supports that can really be that young person's best opportunity to be wrapped around with love and support and care. So our services are strongest when we also are supporting the families in learning how they can best come around their child.
That's very impressive. And I mean, you've definitely described the need for something like Foundry in this area. Julie, I understand Foundry is a province-wide network. How many centers do you currently have, and what determines where you establish new locations?
So as of November 12th, we opened our 19th center, which is your neighbors in Surrey Central. Very exciting. They are the 19th center. If you count our virtual team, we have 20 centers across the province, across all 5 health authorities. And currently we have 16 more centers in development. One is South Surrey White Rock. And our hopes are that all of these would be open by the end of 2027. So George and his team have got lots of work to do in the next year and a half.
Have you found partners in each community for each of these individual ones, or has there been a group partner?
That's part of the process, right? So Foundry is a network. Each Foundry is led and hosted by a different lead agency. So Sources is the lead agency in South Surrey White Rock. So what we typically do is we have what's called an RFP process, or a proposal process, an application, whereby different communities and lead agencies can apply to have a Foundry in their community. Foundry itself is actually funded by the government, and we are a program under Providence Health. Typically, we have a release of a new phase when we've gotten some sort of governmental funding. So it's not like we just choose off the cuff when we're going to open new Foundries. So we were given a new slice of funding a few years ago that included the RFP that Sources was successful in. And some of the things that we've really looked at have been things like community and lead agency readiness. So is this a community that wants to come together? Do they want to do something in a new way?
I was wondering about that. Like, why now in South Surrey White Rock? Like, what makes now the right time to bring this in?
I don't know if I could speak specifically to South Surrey White Rock, but I could tell you from the perspective of Foundry. What I know that South Surrey White Rock was able to provide in their process was to say, as a community, so not just Sources, right? But Fraser Health, the Division of Family Practice, First Nations, your school district, all of your organizations, the Alex House, all of these organizations were saying, you know what, we want to do this together. So that's the first thing that we're looking for, is a community that is ready to do the work together and a lead agency that the community trusts. And those are the two big pieces.
Maybe George can answer that a little bit more. Why now for South Surrey White Rock?
Well, I do want to give some kudos to Alex House and Peace Arch Hospital Foundation, because they actually first applied back in 2016.
Wow. Way, way back.
So the readiness has been, our community's been ready for this for a long time. So we applied in 2016. We applied again. They applied again in 2019. Sources had applied on behalf of Cloverdale. Pacific Community Resources applied on behalf of Surrey Central. And Options applied on the behalf of Newton. We all sat in the same room and wrote these proposals together, knowing that Surrey is a huge city and each community needs a resource that can be trusted. So when the next round, when phase 5 came in 2023, we were like, okay, third time is the charm. Alex House looked to us as well. Sources does have a strong background in things like philanthropy. We have our Sources Foundation. Foundry only provides so much funding support. The lead organization needs to, engage the community to support the rest of it, both from the capital build and some of the operations. So the appetite has been there a long time for our organizations to come together in a meaningful way. We just needed the vehicle to do it in Foundry, and we've been trying. The third time was the charm. We're very grateful.
That's fantastic.
What really sets Foundry apart from other models is the integrated nature of the service. So when you walk into a Foundry center, you can talk to a counselor, you can talk to a psychiatrist, you can talk to a primary care physician, who can then refer you to somebody who's literally down the hall.
I'd like to bring into the conversation Amy O'Leary from Peace Arch Hospital Foundation, which is helping bring the new Foundry Center to our community. For those who think a facility like this falls under the purview of social services and not a hospital foundation that relies on donations from individuals and businesses and lots of volunteers, what was the impetus for helping bring Foundry to South Surrey White Rock?
Thank you, Lance. Well, just to piggyback on what George just said, I mean, we have been interested and invested in Foundry Center for our community for a long time. So when Sources had the opportunity for us to partner on it, we were very excited to do so. Our organization name is actually Peace Arch Hospital and Community Health Foundation. So community health is a strong component of what we do in our mandate. It's very important to us to invest in upstream approaches to healthcare that help to lessen the burden on our hospital long term. So that is part of what we do. And so Foundry gives us this unique opportunity to provide cohesive services in our community that will help to lessen some of that burden on our emergency and acute care units.
I'm told that establishing Foundry here is close to the heart of everyone at the Peace Arch Hospital Foundation. Besides your generous financial support, Amy, can you tell our listeners what the foundation is contributing to the center?
Yeah, I can. Because of the foresight of our incredible board of directors, a while back, the foundation purchased a piece of land just near the hospital campus. So when we had vacant space in this building, we wanted to fill it with somebody that was going to provide something to amplify what Peace Arch Hospital is already doing. So it was a natural fit that way, knowing that having a Foundry here means that youth can access service right away when they need it. So that's, medical services, counseling, as well as the whole social, emotional piece. But being able to come and speak to a counselor right away when you need to means that those youth won't be driven to the emergency department, which may not be the best place for them, so that they can access the service that they need, that they have people that specialize in youth care. And it means that people won't have to wait as long at the hospital because they're being seen when they need to and in the right space.
No, that does sound like there's a practical need as well as just simply the good that it's going to do. It's actually going to help exactly what you deal with every day at the hospital.
Yeah, absolutely. That overcrowding, we hear it all the time, hours and hours of waits. That's not going to help a youth that's in crisis or needs immediate care.
George, did you have something to add there?
I just want to echo something that Amy's saying. We looked around for spaces. Real estate is incredibly hard to come by for a nonprofit. And South Surrey White Rock is particularly a tough area to find a space, especially where youth told us they want to be able to access it. And this needs to be walkable for some kids. This needs to be a place where it's, going to be in familiar areas. So the fact that Peace Arch Hospital and Community Health Foundation was able to offer us this building in this location, right next to the hospital, in between the major high schools, is ideal. And
right off the bus route.
Yeah, absolutely. And the price is right. We know some other communities, right, Julie, that
Yep.
a good chunk of their operating dollars are going towards the rent. And so we are very, very grateful to the foundation for not only the fundraising support, but the location and the lease cost is, it's very hospitable to generating a youth resource like this.
It sounds like a great partnership. In an upcoming episode of Power to Heal, we hope to speak with young people whose lives were dramatically turned around by the support they receive at Foundry Centers and by the people they met there. Julie, maybe you can help me set up that episode by describing what a Foundry location looks and feels like, and what happens when a young person first walks in, with or without an appointment.
I think the first thing I would say about a Foundry Center is that how it looks and feels is completely dependent on what the young people say in a community that they want. So we are just talking about how this physical location meets the needs of what the young people want in South Surrey White Rock. When they come into the Foundry, it is going to be a place that they helped create. And so they're going to see that when they come in. They're going to see that these are the couches that we chose. These are the colors we chose. These are the pieces of this center that we helped develop together. And I think as well, what they're going to feel when they come in is that they belong, that they're going to feel safe, that they're going to feel comfortable, that they're going to feel seen. Some of the things that I love when I go into a Foundry Center is sometimes you'll see like a give and take library. You're going to see artwork that may have been created by young people. And almost every Foundry you go into, the first thing you see is food.
Very welcoming.
So oftentimes you're going into a Foundry, you're sitting down, you're seeing a welcome face, you're seeing maybe another young person, a peer support worker that may have similar lived experiences that you do, and they're going to welcome you in. And you're going to grab yourself something to eat.
So they're coming in, I assume not always knowing exactly what they need, just the typical issue that they want to talk about?
I was just going to say that too, Lance. A lot of times young people are coming in because they know it's a place that they can get help, and they might not really be able to articulate what it is that they feel like they need help with. They just know that they need somewhere to go, and they need somewhere to be able to get help with, maybe some of the more ambiguous things that are going on for them.
It does sound like a key part of Foundry's work is preventative care. Can you talk a little bit about that, especially in terms of young people afflicted by addiction and mental health issues that come to your centers?
For sure. I think the very first thing is that we don't require a referral to come to a Foundry Center. So you don't have to wait. You don't have to meet a certain threshold of challenge. And that is all meant to be able to support people that may have more mild types of challenges, things that may not be quite as intense or complex. One of the taglines we used to have in one of our old marketing or promotional pieces of work was, you don't have to be in crisis to come to Foundry. So the idea is that you could come to Foundry for any myriad of reason. And because of the way it's set up, you can see somebody that day and be able to talk about those things. So one of the very kind of cornerstone parts of a Foundry service is our drop-in counseling. So every Foundry will have drop-in counseling available typically every day, usually until about 6 at night, because we know that a lot of people are in school until 3. So we want to ensure that it is accessible, that it is kind of that more early intervention, we call it, or prevention type support. And we recognize, though, that sometimes because it's not a referral-based system, that there are young people that are coming in that may actually have a lot of complexity and challenge.
Yes.
And because Foundry is a partnership with a lot of different organizations, including Fraser Health, including other organizations, that we can also support some of that step-up kind of care.
Do you have a breakdown in terms of what your most in-demand services are?
Yeah, certainly mental health would be the biggest piece. I think last year in our report, it was about 42 to 45% of reason for a visit would have been related to mental health. And we also recognize that other pieces that people come in for would be things related to substance use. That was about 10%. A lot of reason for young people to come in is related to their physical and sexual health too. Sometimes upwards of 30% of visits is related to being able to see a doctor or a nurse practitioner about some of their physical health needs or their sexual health needs, also their mental health needs and substance use needs. And then we have other services that I think also support kind of that living the good life and mental health, including the peer support, family peer support, work and education, community supports, all of those things that wrap around a young person to provide that integrated care that we talked about before.
It's my understanding that the young people using these services, they don't get a bed, they don't get to stay overnight. Is that something being considered for Foundry's future?
I don't think it's on the radar right now, Lance. I really think that our role within the system of care right now is about that first door, that early intervention, prevention type care, being able to be that place that you can go at any time and receive that first kind of step up to care. I think where we may in the future have partnerships might be that if a young person is coming in with high needs that might be related to substance use, that we would be able to support a referral or a pathway or a handoff in a way that supports that young person if that's something that they would need. But it isn't something that would be happening specifically in a Foundry.
George, is that something that Sources has dealt with in the past, or is that even needed here?
In terms of the housing piece, we do offer some services to people who are unsheltered. That's our system navigation outreach team. So every year when folks locally come out to our coldest night of the year fundraiser every February, second Saturday every February, come on out, see if White Rock can remain in the top 3 or 4 in the country. That provides funding for us to find people where they are and help them navigate our very complex system. But that's more for adults. And we have a housing outreach team, and we have a low barrier service hub where we bring together many services in one room in a church 1 day a week. But in terms of actual housing, I know that there's a lot of discussion about that these days, and that's kind of being left with Fraser Health, BC Housing, and the City of Surrey at the moment. So we'll see what direction that goes.
Are there some services being planned in Foundry that are specific to some of our smaller communities within our larger one? I'm thinking like the Indigenous community or the LGBTQ, something like that.
I know a big piece of work that we provide within our system of care at Foundry Centers is gender affirming care and supporting LGBTQ plus youth. So we provide a lot of groups to support that population of young folks and their parents many times. And because of the age range of young people that we serve and the fact that we have primary care in the majority of our centers, it is not uncommon for a young person to come into a Foundry Center and receive support around gender affirming care. And then, George, I'll let you answer the question about support of Indigenous young people.
So one of the most important things that we started doing right away is connecting with folks from Semiahmoo First Nation, Chief Harley Chappell is part of our anchor table, and we had a young person, Easton Arnoose, was part of our announcement ceremony. Needed a welcoming, and we're actually meeting with them next week to talk about how we will form an Indigenous youth advisory, just to ensure that Foundry is a place when Indigenous youth walks through the door, they feel like it's a place for them too.
They have a voice there.
Yeah, absolutely. Where they see their community reflected, even in the design and the artwork. We plan to be very intentional around that. Also, another population that's going to be quite important for us to consider is the newcomer population. We know that we need to have some language capability. We need to have cultural agility and cultural safety. And we want Foundry to be for everybody who lives here. And so we've got a big responsibility, right, for developing a range of services that can address whatever issue is coming through the door as best we can and find service pathways for the things that might be beyond a Foundry Center. So yeah, we're starting by trying to cast a wide net and bring as many community partners in as we can and do a bit of an asset map and see where the gaps are and fill those as best we can. Because we want to make sure that whatever issue a young person's experiencing or their family's concerned about, that we have some way to address that.
Well, in addition to the needs of those affected by mental health, I'd like to talk about the incredible stress and anxiety nearly all young people must be experiencing these days around things we used to take for granted, such as finding a job or an affordable place to live. How can a program like Foundry help get these young lives back on track?
So someone could come in and share in drop-in counseling that some of those things are the issues that they're facing. And that drop-in counselor might be able to connect them with other resources within the Foundry Center, or it could be that they simply want to talk about the anxiety and stress that's creating for them. We have a work and education program at all of our Foundry centers to support young people with work, and in education and training that might be related to helping them find work, because we realize right now that finding work when you're young can be very, very difficult, especially in this economic crisis right now that we're in. We provide a lot of groups as well. And those groups, although some of them are related to mental health, some of them are also related to things like feeling isolated.
Yes.
Feeling like they don't have adult skills. A lot of Foundry centers do kind of like adulting 101, where it's like you're learning how to cook, you're learning budgeting, you're learning how to kind of maneuver around this world in an independent way. And I think the other big piece is a lot of these other parts that might not be like so related to maybe counseling. It could be a lot of the pieces that partners also support. So I think about, whether it is organizations that can support with housing, organizations that can support with work and education, but that's something that we already provide in the center, but other social services. Maybe it's food insecurity, being able to connect young people in with those things. Because again, like we talked about before, a young person doesn't necessarily come into a Foundry and share all of the different ways that they might need support. Oftentimes these things are kind of found out or discovered with that young person over time as you're building relationship with them too.
Through discussion, through various visits.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and also through groups and workshops and life skills, right? Foundry offers a wide range of opportunities for kids to connect and to learn and grow. I just want to add to what Julie's saying. I have 3 kids that are in this age range between the ages of 23 and 17. And yes, there are stresses and anxieties that this generation is experiencing that we did not. If you want to read a great book, it's called The Anxious Generation. It's quite interesting. This is the first generation that grew up native to social media, or was a part of their development all the way through. I don't know about other parents, but I see that most of the kids that are friends of my children, they look around and go, how am I going to afford to live in this area?
Yeah.
It looks impossible. It's so daunting. And as they look at their career paths, what's going to be replaced by AI? That is a huge anxiety right now. So there's a lot of stress. And I think that having trusted people that you can come and just whatever is front and center in your life right now as a young person trying to find your way through this life, having someone you can talk to that can just hear you, understand what's important to you, and explore, your possibilities and help you develop the skills you might need. We want Foundry to be that place that they can trust to come to if the world is looking just that daunting.
Foundry Langley is unique because there's just nothing like this available to youth in our community. So we're able to come together in this space and offer a variety of different services under one roof, so they can access mental health services, substance use services. There's a variety of social services. It's also a space where caregivers and family members, so those who support young people in our community, can get access to supports for themselves. So young people sometimes aren't ready to access things that might be helpful for them. We're able to wrap around them, both in terms of the services we offer and by supporting the people that love them as well.
I'd like to bring the conversation back to Amy at this point, with the Hospital Foundation's backing for Foundry and other community initiatives that wouldn't be possible without the generous support of your donors. Amy, when you speak with your contributors, are they sometimes surprised by the scope and reach of the Foundation's activities?
I think our donors are generally pleasantly surprised to hear about a strategic approach to upstream preventative health. You know, for most people, that makes a lot of sense. Like George said, it's only becoming more challenging for young people to grow up in our day and age. And we know that the pressures on our healthcare system are only increasing. And so we need to find ways to get ahead of it. I also had a conversation not that long ago with a young person, and she was talking about she's got ADHD, and she said to me, I can't talk to my family doctor about this because it's my mom's doctor. And I told her, have you heard about Foundry? Because there's one in Langley right near where you live, and, you know, you could go there. And so I think that it is such a really important resource for people to, like I said, kind of get at these services before they become actual really big problems. And so for us, it just makes really good sense. We're also very proud of the fact that a number of other hospital foundations are now following our lead. They're investing in these preventative health type programs and initiatives. So other hospital foundations like Burnaby, Delta, Langley, other community health organizations are now doing the same thing. And so we're in really good company there. We're very proud that we have committed to raising $2 million for this Foundry. So Peace Arch Hospital and Community Health Foundation, all of our donors, you know, we want to see this happen. We're very excited, in addition to providing the space, to contributing that $2 million to the cause as well.
Well, let's talk about timelines on the Foundry Center. When do we see it opening its doors? George, is that one for you?
I guess it is. So we are excited about where we are now. It's so great that we have a space. We have our community leadership table assembled. We're currently forming our youth and family advisory tables. So we're exactly where we need to be. We have raised a bit of money. We've got a little more to go, so that'll be a big part of things. We're hoping, if all goes well, there are things that are out of our control, like permits, etc. We're hoping to be able to open our doors sometime late 2027. That is our sincere intention. We will see how that goes. We're in a race with Burnaby. That's our unofficial competitor. They got their money at the same time.
That's good. It's good to have a challenge.
Yes, we love them, but we're going to beat them.
Now, Julie, when it comes to opening one of these new centers, I suspect it's more than just a sense of accomplishment in your work. Are you able to tell us how it makes you feel?
Oh my gosh, makes me feel so excited. And I feel like if the English language had a word for like proud and humble at the same time, I think that is the feeling. When I see a center open, I just think about just how much work and effort that goes into that from a community level, and how many people kind of put their hands in and do the work together. It's never one person that opens a Foundry Center. It is a whole community that opens a Foundry Center, and that part just fills me with so much joy and excitement.
How can our listeners reach out to Foundry and learn more? You've given us so much information, but it sounds like there's a lot more that we haven't even touched on yet.
Well, probably the easiest way is our website. So our website handle is foundrybc.ca. It has resources and tools for young people, for caregivers, for people that work with young people and caregivers. It can tell you a lot about the different Foundry locations. It can give you information about current research, and access to the virtual Foundry is on there. And while people are waiting for South Surrey White Rock Foundry to open up, and they hear about Foundry, they can always give Foundry Virtual a call.
They can reach out online? Is that how it works? Like a chat line?
They can. It's actually an app. If you have an Apple phone, you can go into the Apple App Store and put in Foundry BC, and you can download the Foundry app, and then you can access all services through the app. And similarly, if you don't have that, you can go to the foundrybc.ca website, and you can go through the links that show you how to download the app or access services online.
We've had a long discussion here. I want to ask one last question to all of you to consider. In a growing area like South Surrey White Rock, is there anything else you would like to see happen in future to ensure more young people can live healthy, fulfilling lives?
I can think of one thing. So I think when something like Foundry comes into a community and you get a whole bunch of people in the room that get to dream and scheme about how to make life better for a group of young people, what happens is it's a catalyst. And so what I look forward to is seeing what other dreams and schemes this community comes up with. I think that you should also expect that your young people are going to come back and find ways to give back to their community. I think that you're going to have to expect that.
I am always amazed that when community comes together, innovation happens, especially when people center their spirits around a shared concern or a care for a need in the community. I think it would be great to have an adult version of Foundry. Our adult system is also quite fragmented, and this model is revolutionary. It'll make a big difference if we could do an adult version of this at some point in the future. And then I think there's maybe even more of a concerted effort that we can make with the younger years to really invest in what we call those upstream preventative, wellness enhancing kind of initiatives. So as early as really supporting people at the maternity stage. So I foresee a lot more emphasis we could play in other vulnerable stages of developmental life.
Thank you. Amy, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'll chime in and just say, Peace Arch Hospital will always be there when you need it. Hopefully you won't, but the foundation will always be at the table to talk about ways to improve or elevate the healthcare in our community. And we always look forward to finding new ways to do that and new ways to partner with our community, our donors, our volunteers, and organizations like Sources and Foundry BC to help make that happen.
That's beautiful. I would like to thank all three of our guests, Julie, George, and Amy. And I'm looking forward to continuing this topic with those who have used Foundry's services in other parts of the province. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
On an upcoming episode of Power to Heal, we'll hear from some amazing young people whose lives were turned around by the support, care, and friendship they received at Foundry centers, and by their own growing belief in themselves as healthy, positive members of their community. Look for part 2 of this inspiring story wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Did you know the full name of our hospital's fundraising arm is the Peace Arch Hospital and Community Health Foundation? We call ourselves that because our focus is on not only supporting our dedicated hospital staff with things like new medical scanners and updated operating rooms, but also by reaching out to help foster better health and wellness in our community of South Surrey White Rock. And none of this is possible without the support of our generous donors, who since 1988 have helped us raise more than $250 million for capital projects, medical equipment, and community health programs. But there is still so much more to do, and with your financial contributions, we can continue to build on this legacy of care and generosity. Visit us today at pahfoundation.ca. That's pahfoundation.ca to learn more about our wide range of giving options and how your donations can make a difference in the lives of our community. This has been Power to Heal, presented by the Peace Arch Hospital Foundation. I'm Katie Bennison. Thanks for listening.
Another Everything Podcast production. Visit everythingpodcast.com, a division of Pattison Media. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast.